There's a really good chance you have an app on your phone right now that's designed to make you healthier, to track your diet, your steps, your life. But what if that very tool, the one that's supposed to improve our physical health, is actually quietly taking a toll on our mental well-being? That's what we're going to dig into. So let's just start with the sheer scale of this whole thing. We're talking about nearly 5 billion smartphone users around the world. I mean, that's billions of people with a potential health and fitness tracker sitting right there in their pocket, ready to monitor every single calorie and every single step. And yeah, on so many of those phones, you're going to find apps like MyFitnessPal or trackers from Apple and Fitbit. They all promise to make us better, to improve our physical health by helping us count calories and track our steps. And look, the intention is great, but the data, well, it tells a way more complicated story. And that brings us to our first major piece of evidence. It's a big study that basically took a snapshot of the habits of almost 400 young women in Australia. They were looking for any connections between how they used these apps and their overall well-being. Now, to really get what they found, you have to know what the researchers were looking at. See, they split these apps into two main types. You've got diet apps, which are all about what you eat, and then you've got fitness apps, which focus on how you move. And as you're about to see, this little distinction, it's everything. Okay, so this chart right here is the heart of the study's findings. Just look at these bars. The first couple show the scores for people who don't use these apps and those who only use fitness apps. But then, look what happens with the next two bars. These represent people using diet apps, either by themselves or with a fitness app. Whoa, their scores for disordered eating symptoms are just significantly higher. I mean, the data points to a really clear and honestly kind of concerning pattern. So to put it really plainly, the study found a super strong link. The women who used apps to monitor what they ate also reported more disordered eating, they were more dissatisfied with their bodies, and they felt a more compulsive need to exercise. And this was all compared to people who only tracked their fitness or used no apps at all. Yeah, a pretty troubling correlation, right? But look, a correlation isn't the whole story. The researchers really wanted to know why this link even exists. Like, what is it about a person's mindset or their motivation that might turn what's supposed to be a helpful tool into something potentially harmful? And this brings us to this key psychological idea called fit ideal internalization. It's basically a fancy way of saying how much a person has absorbed that message from society that there's one perfect body type, slim, toned, lean, and that is the standard they've got to strive for. And here is exactly where it all connects. The study found that when someone has really, truly bought into this fit ideal, the link between their diet tracking app and disordered eating gets much stronger. For them, the app stops being a simple health guide and it becomes a tool in this relentless chase for an often impossible physical ideal. The researchers also looked at why people exercise, and they basically broke it down into two main paths. The first one is appearance-focused motivation, so you exercise to lose weight or to change how your body looks. The second path is health-focused. You exercise to feel better, to boost your mood, or just for your general health. So when the reason for exercising is mostly about appearance, that's when the negative outcomes really seem to ramp up. The data suggests that if your main reason for using that app is to change how you look, the risk of body dissatisfaction and disordered eating just goes up. So yeah, your why for using the app, turns out it matters a lot. Now, this all seems to be painting a pretty clear, if maybe a little dark picture. But this is the point where we have to stop and ask the most important question in all of science. Does this correlation actually mean causation? I mean, are the apps themselves causing these problems, or is something else going on entirely? And to answer that question, we have to look at a totally different kind of study, one that followed people over time. And what they found, well, it throws a huge twist into this whole story. So, this second study took a group of college-aged women who were not currently tracking their food and had them start using MyFitnessPal for 8 weeks. And here's the crucial part. The researchers tracked their symptoms and their app use the entire time, which let them see how things changed from day one to the end. And here it is. Here's the twist. Over that entire 8-week period, get this, using the app did not lead to an increase in disordered eating symptoms, or body dissatisfaction, or compulsive exercise. The data just didn't show the app creating or making these issues worse in this group.
And if you zoom in on the day-to-day data, it gets even weirder. It turns out that on the days when participants tracked their food more, they actually reported less intention to restrict what they were eating later. It's like the more they tracked, the less they felt like they had to hold back, which is the exact opposite of what you might expect.
But this is where it gets really human, because the overall stats don't tell the whole story. As one person in the study said, tracking made me nervous and I ate more than before. So for some people, the act of tracking itself just created anxiety. It's just a powerful reminder that the human experience isn't always captured in the averages. So what is really going on here? We've got one study that shows this strong link between app use and eating disorders, and then we have another one that shows that using an app doesn't seem to cause them over a couple months. How can both of these things be right?
Well, the answer is all in how each study was designed. Think of it like this. That first study, it's like a single photograph. It just shows you who's all clustered together at one specific moment in time. But the second study, that's like a movie. It follows people over time, showing you their progress and their struggles from start to finish. So when you put them together, what story do they actually tell? Well, the photograph tells us that right now, people who already have concerns about their weight and their body are the ones using these diet tracking apps. And the movie? It shows us that for new users, the app itself doesn't seem to create those concerns out of thin air, at least not over a couple of months. And this all leads us to a really powerful new idea. What if the apps aren't the cause of these problems at all? What if instead they just act as a magnet, a tool that naturally attracts people who are already struggling with or are at high risk for body dissatisfaction? So in this view, the tool isn't creating the problem is drawing people to the tool. And that really leaves all of us with a critical question to ask ourselves. With a tool this powerful sitting right in our pocket, we have to wonder, in our own quest for health, when does self-tracking cross that line and become self-sabotage? Thanks for joining me.